Alright, in this tutorial I'm going to show how to lubricate the new Spektra Halo. To lubricate the Spektra Halo, you're going to need your machine, of course, and the bottle of oil that comes packed with the synthetic grease. What you're going to do is you're going to open one of the synthetic grease packages. Make sure that you don't make a big hole in here because you're going to be reusing this. A package is good for 2 or 3 lubrications, so you have 2 packages in there. The first step is to actually remove the motor bolt. Quarter twist, remove the motor bolt. Second step is going to be to remove the give knob that secures all the parts together. When you remove the give knob, you got to make sure that when you're removing, the spacer is also in the shaft. If the spacer is not in the shaft, that means that the spacer is inside, so you're gonna have to remove it. You can actually use the same shaft and fish it out like that. It should come out. So make sure that your spring is also here, and I would recommend that you keep everything together like that on the side of the table. The next step is going to be to remove the armature bar. Simply pull out and the armature should actually come off. And then what you're going to do is the last step is remove the slider carefully. You're going to remove the slider and you're going to remove the front spring. Alright, once you have the slider in your hands, you're going to go ahead and you're going to clean any excess of oil, grease, debris, dirt. You're going to clean it thoroughly. And you're gonna start applying the synthetic grease. So the synthetic grease goes first. Okay, don't put the oil because you're not gonna be able to put synthetic grease if you put oil first. So once the slide is very clean, you're actually gonna start brushing away the synthetic grease like this, horizontally or vertically, however you're looking at this. Make sure that you have synthetic grease throughout the slider. Do not apply blotches, huge blotches, you know. Whatever you do, just make sure that you even it out by brushing away the grease. Like I said, 1 package is going to be good for probably 2 or 3, even 4 lubrication. Okay, so as you see in here, the slider is fully greased up. Okay. So once you have the slider all greased up, you're gonna reposition the front spring and you're gonna insert the slider. Another thing that I would recommend you do is actually get a piece of paper, paper towel, and actually shove paper towel inside and clean any excess of oil, debris, dirt, you know, that may be inside the machine. So make sure that both pieces are clean before you reposition them. So insert the slider again, insert the armature bar, insert the give knob that includes the spring and the spacer. Screw in all the way, clean any excess of synthetic oil. I'm sorry, synthetic grease. And now we are gonna start applying the oil. This oil is very important because this oil, when it mixes with the synthetic grease, it makes the machine run very smooth. So you're gonna break the seal on this oil bottle. Remove the cap. You can remove the seal, throw it away. And this is the first place where you're gonna apply the oil. You're gonna apply the oil right inside the machine between the actual housing and the slider. So you're gonna apply 1-2 drops, no more than 2 drops. While you're holding the machine in this position, what you're gonna do is you're gonna push in for that oil to start mixing with the synthetic grease. Then you're gonna apply 1 drop right here at the front of the armature bar. You're gonna push all the way in and you're gonna apply another drop behind the armature bar. Then you're gonna release. And then you're gonna apply 1 drop around the give knob and you're gonna drag it around. Okay? Do not overdo this neither. go just like this to mix up the oil with the grease. And the next step is going to be to plug the motor, clean any excess oil around the frame, and now we're going to run the machine. But this time we're going to run the machine pretty high, but we're going to do it for a short amount of time, so it shouldn't affect the motor or anything. You're going to turn on your power supply, and you're probably going to want to dial it like around 15 volts. 15, 16 volts. Of course the machine is going to sound abnormal because nobody tattoos at 16 volts with this machine. And then you're going to go down after 10 seconds to your normal voltage, which will be probably like around 7, 8, 9, 9.5, depending the type of work you're doing. And you're going to go up again. You're going to go down again. You're going to go up again. And the reason why we're doing this is just to make sure that the oil and the grease become one solution. And that is the solution that's actually going to keep your machine lubricated at least for 50 to 70 hours. So you shouldn't do this, unless you autoclave the machine. If you autoclave the machine, you probably are going to have to do this more often because the steam is actually going to wash away some of that grease and oil. But unless you can do that, the machine should run perfectly fine for 50 to 70 hours. And then I would recommend that if you start feeling the machine that it's a little bit bugging down or anything like that, probably all you have to do is just add another drop of oil here, inside, and around the machine. I've tattooed with my Spektra for quite a few times, probably more than 1,000 hours, I would say, and I only lubricated my machine probably 4 times in 1,000 hours. But it's really up to you, how often you want to do it. You just gotta make sure that the machine does not get saturated with lubricant, synthetic grease or oil, because you are going to make the machine bog down and the machine is not gonna work properly. Another thing that you gotta look for is oil should always stay away from the motor. Even though you're putting grease in here, if you put the right amount, the 1 or 2 drop, it should not affect the motor. Okay, if you want to lubricate the bearing, you can put a little bit of grease around the bearing, but I recommend you also clean pretty often the motor and take any excess of grease or oil. Motors are affected by oil will not be covered by the warranty, and it's very easy to take care of your motor. Simply watch how much oil you put in the machine. Anytime you see a little bit of an excess or leak, clean it away. And if your Spektra is brand new, the more you use the machine, the better it's going to run. And something that I notice is that the more I use the machine, the less I need to lubricate the machine. So that's something to experiment with. But again, something that I'm going to repeat over and over: do not over grease your machine, only when the machine needs it. Okay? And your machine should sound something like this, basically silent. Some machine may be a little bit noisier than other, but overall, the machine shouldn't sound like an old car, for example. Okay, and this completes our video about lubricating the new Spektra Halo.